Welcome back to Bluegrass on this beautiful September afternoon. I'm out with Q and Goyard and Baker, and what we're going to talk about today is whether or not a Goldendoodle might be right for your family situation. Now, Baker, she's a little bit squirmy right now because she just got here about 15 minutes ago. So primarily we will be looking at Goyard. We're going to compare and contrast Goyard with some other dog breeds that are here for training. But I'm going to take a break right now, and I'm going to run in and put Baker up so she doesn't get stepped on by some of these big dogs. Very nice, good dogs, okay. All right, so first things first, why in the world would someone want to combine a poodle and a golden retriever? Well, the simple answer is that people would like to have a healthy, outgoing, pattern-cognizant, sensitive dog that also has an affable personality and a little bit of a more blocky build. Okay, so with a poodle, you'll notice that he's very refined looking, and if you really like that mature look on a dog, poodles are awesome. You know, they got kind of a long snout. They look very regal when they're moving. Okay, golden retrievers are kind of the opposite of that, right? They're kind of blocky and soft looking. It's almost like they're in a state of perpetual puppyhood, right? So that's what gives them that kind of affable, like approachable look. And so a really common cross is what's known as an F1b Goldendoodle. And that's where you take a 100% poodle and you breed it to a 100% golden retriever. That litter of puppies will be 50% poodle, 50% golden retriever. Then you backbreed that once the puppies are matures to a 100% poodle, giving you a 75% poodle, 25% golden retriever. And what that normally adds is we get this teddy bear look in the face. We get a little bit broader, shorter muzzle. The overall structure of the dogs is pretty similar. Swing around this way a little bit. Okay, now you guys be looking at Q. Right now I'm going to move Q off of the table. Be thinking about his structure. And notice how Goyard's structure is not all that dissimilar. One of the things that pops up in terms of common complaints with outcrosses is that people feel like it oftentimes, interferes with the original purpose or the structure of a dog. Well, if we're honest, guys, not very many dog breeds that we have today are really doing the jobs that they were originally designed to do. Okay, so most of these dogs that we see, regardless of the origins of the breed, most of them, they're just house dogs. You know, they're companion dogs. And so if somebody wants a companion dog, that's affable, that's got a coat that doesn't shed much, that's pretty athletic, that has a certain amount of vigor that comes from the varied genetics of getting outside of your established bloodlines, a Goldendoodle can meet those expectations very well. When I posted that short yesterday asking people to comment on what they thought about Goldendoodles, a lot of people said that when you breed a golden retriever and a poodle, you're losing the good elements of both dogs. You're losing the original purpose of both dogs. But my question back to those people was, what does the original purpose of the dogs matter when the new purpose of the dog is simply to be, social and outgoing? Because most of these Goldendoodles that I see, what do they do in life? They hang out in the house. They go to carpool line some. They go to soccer. They go down to the local pub and, hang out while their owners eat pizza and drink beer, socialize. Okay? Well, for that type of activity, then you don't need a dog that has tons of retrieving drive. You don't need a dog that has a perfect coat for, shedding water. You don't need a dog that's extremely pattern cognizant and capable of learning long drawn out behavior chains, You just need a dog that's relatively healthy and has a good upbeat personality. Okay? So there's no doubt that many Goldendoodle breeders are managing to produce dogs that have those qualities, and the simple way that you know that is that these are very popular right now and most people are pretty happy with them. Now, if you go back through my YouTube channel, you can see that I've made a lot of videos in the past of doodles that had problems, okay? Now, I'm in no way saying, I'm not even advocating for Goldendoodle breeding. I'm just trying to call a spade, you know? these dogs, yes, of course, whenever you cross something with a poodle, you run the risk of having a dog that's a little bit on the anxious side. You have you run the risk of having a dog that is a little bit on the reserved side. Come on, nerd, come up these steps. Come on. You have a dog that sometimes can be snappy with other dogs, sometimes can be snappy with groomers, sometimes can be snappy with vets. And so like a lot of times the Goldendoodles, they have those attributes, and people like blame it on the cross. Well, look, guys, I've been around a long time, and I remember back when poodles were really popular in the 80s, and they had that same reputation. You know, so somehow or another, when the Goldendoodle conversation comes up, people are now lionizing poodles and golden retrievers and pretending like every poodle or every golden retriever has a rock solid temperament and has all of the qualities that you know, that one envisions those dogs to have. And that, you know, there's just very few perfect dogs, very few perfect poodles, there's very few perfect golden retrievers, and of course there's going to be very few perfect Goldendoodles. Okay, but let's talk for just a second about why, like, you should maybe provide some latitude for people that are looking to, you know, like maybe do outcrosses or provide a certain amount of variety to the dog marketplace. Okay, now right off the bat we have to admit that some people just think that you ought not breed dogs at all. So a really common comment that we get is adopt, don't shop. Now that's fine. If that's what you believe, then I'm not going to change your mind. I'm not going to try to. But now once we get on the shopping side of it, where you think it's okay to shop for a dog, then I think it's a little bit unfair of you to tell people that their shopping options should be limited to the breeds that are now well established, because all of those dogs started with outcrosses at some point at some point in their history, right? There's no breed of dog that we have now besides landrace dogs that within the last few hundred years you know, haven't had admixtures. Okay, so when I look at this dog and I look at it and I say, well, this is just a mixture of a couple of nice dogs. For the history of dog training, for the history of dog ownership, primarily it was breed good dogs to good dogs. And until there were market forces and breed registries, you know, you just had regional varieties pop up because Bob on one side of the county had good dog and Joe on the other side of the county had good dog, and they put them, or he had a good bitch, and they put them together and they had puppies, and you know, over the course of time, every dog in that county that did that task kind of looked the same. Okay, but there's always going to be some reasons for people doing this. Number one, like, people are tinkerers. In the history, again, we get back to history, you got to look at historical norms. Historically, people have been taking dogs and mixing them together just to see what would happen. People do the same thing with cars. They put different tires on cars, different wheels on cars. They do it with shoes. I mean, people are just tinkerers. They like to see what's going to happen. Another thing that you'll see is that people have had some type of emotional experience with the dog, right? And so you might have been in a situation where you met a nice Goldendoodle, and so then you become an aficionado of the breed and you're out there championing people breeding the dogs, people getting the dogs, and that's pretty cool. Okay. Now, of course, there's the profit motive. Some people, they know that you can make what's referred to a lot as a designer breed. Okay, so anyway, they can take any mixture of dogs, slap a label on it, and pretend that it's rare, pretend that it's new, pretend that it has some type of novel qualities, and then sell it simply for profit. And that, all three of those things, that's going on with every type of dog. In golden retrievers, you have people mixing bloodlines just to see what would happen. Like, what happens if I take this field golden and I mix it with a show golden? You know, poodles, same thing. You have people that just like to see what's going to happen. You have people that grew up and maybe when they were young they had an English cream golden retriever, and so they think that all the golden retrievers should always be like that, and they judge the quality of the current dogs in production with their ideals that was established during a very emotional time of their life. Okay? And then you have people that try to make a living breeding dogs, and some of those people, they do a really good job. Okay? I don't care if somebody makes money breeding dogs. I don't care if somebody loses money breeding dogs. As long as what they're producing are nice dogs, then I'm all for it. Okay? But I don't throw people under the bus just because they are pursuing profit. The profit margin is what's primarily responsible for all the good things you enjoy in your life. Okay, so let's not be silly when it comes to talking about dog breeders, because everybody likes to throw that unethical, profit-seeking breeder term label on the Goldendoodle breeders. But you trust me, there's plenty of people breeding Golden Retrievers, and there's plenty of people breeding Poodles that aren't doing a very good job because they're unethical. And then there's a lot of people that have good ethics, but they have a poor eye, and they're breeding poor quality dogs just because they're not good at breeding dogs. Okay, so understand this: dog quality and price in the dog business should never be considered to be positively correlated. Just good dogs are good dogs, and sometimes they cost a lot and sometimes they don't cost much. But making or losing money when you're producing dogs hadn't got anything to do with the quality. You're either producing good dogs or you're not. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to let out some other dogs, and we're just going to kind of walk around, and I want you to observe how this Goldendoodle interacts with them and kind of compare and contrast yourself, you know, from your perspective. And then I'm going to read through this list that I got when I posted the short, and we'll see if we can't cover some of the questions or concerns that you probably have popping up in your mind right now. Good dogs, very good dogs. Oh my gosh. Oh, you good boy, Hank. What are you doing? What are you doing, Hank? Very good dog, Go Yard. Oh, you're a nice dog. Swing around this way a little bit, cameraman. All right, now in this field, we have, you can go ahead and go down this way a little bit, please. All right, so in this field, we have quite a few different kinds of dogs. We have a Border Collie, we have some Labrador Retrievers, we have a Norwich Terrier, we have a German Shorthair Pointer, we have a Boxer, and we have a Catahoula Leopard dog. Everybody knows Hank. Okay, but what I want you to pay attention to is, like, all of these dogs are getting along pretty well. You know, even Rita Mae, the little bitty Norwich Terrier, watch how she navigates this environment with the dogs. And that kind of gets us to a point that I make all the time on the channel, which is, if you establish a really strong basic obedience protocol and you get super good socialization sessions in when a puppy is in the early developmental stages, then like you're pretty much always going to be successful regardless of the breed that you have, unless you're doing a super specific job. Okay, so like one of the things you'll notice, all these dogs are gravitating towards this shade. So we'll go over here, kind of make it easy to think about. Whole bunch of different kinds of dogs, right? Like they all like running and playing, they all like attention, they all like treats, right? And they all like laying in the shade. So what is so bad about having a dog that's 75% Poodle and 25% Golden Retriever? Because it's obvious that for the stuff we're doing right now, the stuff we're doing today, each of these dogs, ranging in size from a 10-pound Norwich Terrier to you know, a 80-pound Labrador Retriever running around here, like they're all capable of doing what I need them to do today, which is just hang out and be nice. I got a bunch of kids coming down later, and I want all these dogs to be able to be put on leashes and walked. I want them to come to me when I call them, you know, like just the modern demands of you know, like the demands of modern life are not super high for a dog that has good basic obedience and good socialization. Okay, that's just what you got to keep your mind on, you know. So like when you go to researching these dogs and you run up on people who really hate outcrosses, I understand that, especially if they have a purpose or especially if they have an emotional attachment to the dog. But when it's just kind of one of those things based on principle, I think they're not thinking all the way through the you know, through the thought process of what it takes to be a good dog, right? We're primarily interested in dogs being healthy, right? Dogs aren't going to mind very good if they're unhealthy, right? And then we're interested in them having good manners. Dogs aren't going to have good manners if they haven't been properly socialized. Dogs aren't going to be, you know, you're not going to be able to take dogs out if they don't have good basic obedience, so then they don't get to be properly socialized, so then they don't have good manners, right? You see how it's all tied together? All the common sense stuff is tied together, right? We need to know that we can do the kind of stuff with the dog that modern life requires, okay? And we need to be open to the idea that there's a lot of different types of dogs that can meet those expectations. If I make a list of, I need a friendly, outgoing dog that's going to live a long time and be easy to influence, there's a lot of dogs that meet those metrics, okay? And a lot of those dogs are doodles. So this idea that every doodle is going to have some kind of problem and fall short of all the poodles, you know, people will say things like these dogs, sit there. These dogs can't pay attention. They're too excitable. They're too flighty. They're too reactive with other dogs. I mean, I just called that dog to me. A bunch of other dogs are running around. These dogs are back here wrestling and playing and being loud. And I asked her to sit down and be still for a minute. She came right up, let me put the leash on her. Now she's sitting down being still, you know. Easy to motivate. They like food. They like petting. They like attention. They like just to get out and play. And if you tell them that they only get to play if they'll come and be still and have good manners first, they buy right into that. Look, here's a German Shorthair Pointer. This is a perfect example, right? Now, I love German Shorthair Pointers. Come here, Nellie. This is Nellie. Nellie's wild character. Let me give you a side view of Nellie if I can. Right? Listen, this is a wild character. She's a really good example of a German Shorthair Pointer. But if you think for 1 minute that this purebred dog fits in better in a neighborhood than that Poodle Golden Retriever cross, you're crazy. Like, having this dog in a neighborhood is a legitimate part-time job, you know? And now luckily her owner, like, you know, he's the kind of guy that likes having a part-time job related to exercising dogs, but that might not be you, you know? So I hope this video just kind of gives you some things to think about. And I want you to understand, when you go to researching these Poodle Golden Retriever crosses and the different variations, and there's lots of variations, okay? I want you to sit down with a piece of paper, and as you catalog the advice you're getting, kind of scratch out the extreme advice on either side, and then ask people that live lifestyles that are similar to you, what are their experiences, and here's where the important part comes out. Hey, where did they get their dogs? Okay, because the one big problem from my perspective with outcrosses is that you don't know what you're going to get, right? It's not as predictable as dog breeds that are you know, like have very specific and well-established long-term bloodlines, okay? You don't know exactly what you're going to get, but that not knowing exactly what you're going to get, you got to remember that knowing exactly what you're going to get, that's concentrated genes, that concentrates the good stuff, but it also concentrates the bad stuff. And so when you do these outcrosses, you get a little bit more genetic variability, right? And on average, the dogs have a certain amount of robustness to them that each of the purebred dogs don't have. So don't let people tell you that breeding a poodle to a golden retriever is necessarily or even likely to give you a dog that's going to not live as long, or not going to be as healthy, or not going to be as easy to train, because that is, you know, that's not my experience. But now a really good thing to think about there is this. If you're using bottom of the barrel poodle genetics and you're using bottom of the barrel golden retriever genetics, you're still using bottom of the barrel genetics, right? Then that's where I feel like golden doodles get in trouble. It's because sometimes it's just poorly bred poodles bred to poorly bred golden retrievers who might or might not be really even 100% of either, right? And the other thing, and I'm going to leave you with this, right? Because I know a lot of you are going to watch this video and you're going to see Go Yard and you're going to think, well, look, a real pretty, affable, outgoing dog that doesn't shed a lot, I'm for sure, that's what dog I want. My experience has been, and you can go back through my channel and see lots of videos, people that buy dogs and they think about them as being cute, and they think about them as not being messy and not being much trouble, and being easy to integrate into their lives, you know, in other words, with no work ethic from themselves, they contribute to the bad reputations of golden doodles. Right? These dogs are not dogs that you just, you know, you buy and you put in your stylish car and drive over to your stylish house and they're perfect. Okay? So if you don't do your basic obedience and you don't do proper socialization when they're young, then when they hit that adolescent period, about the time that the new has worn off of the dog, right, and they're hitting that period where they need more attention and more understanding than ever, you'll start to withdraw your attention, and the very worst aspects of both golden retrievers and poodles will start to emerge. You'll get a lot of barking, you'll get a lot of jumping, you'll get a lot of separation anxiety. You'll just get a lot of things that happen when dogs that are bred to crave human interaction don't get that level of human interaction. So, just to wrap it up, don't make your own problems. right? Okay, so if you buy a Goldendoodle, understand that you're buying a doodle that needs lots of attention and it needs lots of exercise. And if you knock out your basic obedience and your socialization, you're guaranteed to be successful. But if you don't knock out your basic obedience, you don't knock out your early socialization, and you let the new wear off the puppy and you stop paying attention to them, then you're going to find your dog on my channel as an example of what's wrong with Goldendoodles, not what's great about Goldendoodles. All right, I hope this helps you guys make a decision on whether or not a Goldendoodle might be right for you. Post your thoughts in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing what you have to say, and I will see you next week.